This is me, Seth Jamison, talking about one of my favorite books for kids about called The Paper Bag Prince. It's vintage, of course, so it doesn't have a cover because it was read away. And right here we have some of the really great, lush junkyard art. It's about an old man named the Paper Bag Prince who saves a lot of stuff and lives alone out there because his family died. And this is the one part of that really relates to water usage a lot, and that's very beautiful. And things improve there, and as you see, he really has a happy life. You know, with all his junk and he lives very very well with nature. You know, even though there's all this junk everywhere, it has this great art along the sides, which relates it to the other book that I'll be talking about in a moment. And it's beautiful, beautiful art like that. And kids like that, and that pulls their attention in, which is a beautiful thing about this book. I feel like this book doesn't get really preachy at all. It's just a really good example of how you can use, you know, decrease carbon footprints and give yourself peace with nature, but sort of as a part of society and not away from it. I think it's touched me a lot. As that obviously touched me because I read it to my kids, and we found it in one of those free little libraries, which is a very good place to find a book. Which brings me to the one with the similar art around the sides, which I do like about this book as well. They both have really good use of that. There's both. This one's more, a little more directly informational about that, but that's good, and that's one of the cool things about this book. That I like that they use the map, right? Now, what? This book is about, the Nashua River, and you have. I feel like this is a bit preachy art, but in general, you have other really good art like that, and that's the nature art and celebrating the American, the native experience. And there's a really nice one here with some wigwams, and some canoeing and stuff like that, and you get some really good imagery about their lives. You get some generalizations specifically about how that when the natives hunted, they always did it 100% in tune with nature, and that isn't true, of course. But I understand that their livelihood, it was a different time, and they were not hurting nature the way it was once a lot of the colonists got here, and I understand that's very true. And then, of course, our modern society that resulted from it is extremely destructive. I'm saying it's biased because that isn't true that the American Indians they were people, and they actually, especially through what is called the Quaternary megafauna extinction, which I, of course, had to look up, was a historical event caused by native peoples who destroyed a lot of animals that are long, long gone. And understanding that happened, it doesn't mean, the more recent stuff that we're talking about in this book is more relevant to our modern day. But that to sort of give like blanket statements is part of seeing American Indians and American natives as sort of a monolithic image, which I don't think this book really does, but it's sort of getting into that a little kind of, which I find condescending. But again, it's there's a lot of stuff. This is fine to have in kids' library. It's a lot of beautiful art. There's Don't Pollute the River and stuff like that. I don't really think kids get too wrapped up in that because they read a book that says it's okay. The art was beautiful in it. That's definitely true. The story is sort of disorganized. This is just a bonus book. It's called House Me that I loved when I was a kid. I'm not really going to go deep into it, but beautiful 60s art, like that. And there's of course, for the ocean and the fish, as the whales, it's the ocean, water. That's a house for them. But the earth is a house for us all. It does say in there, but it's very celebratory and beautiful, and I like that. Some stuff can have a message, and that's okay. That's good. Some stuff can just be celebration. Both good things. Again, though, as far as the messages, this one communicated it better. As did this fantastic story called Flush by Carl Hayson, which was a really good read. I really enjoyed it. I like reading the grade level. It's very well written for about a 13-year-old kid. The main character, 13-year-old boy, is lives in Key West, where I've been and where I had a great time and really enjoyed the nature there. And that did touch me. There's some beautiful descriptions of it, mangroves in the water, and the boy is fighting a casino gambling operation who is polluting, dumping all their sewage into the water nightly and really messing everything up around there. His dad though is an activist, you could call him, or is just like a weird dude who does stuff against people who mess with the ocean. And he did this, and the guy isn't violent and he's not going around doing a lot of stuff, but he does kind of break some rules. I guess you could say that there's some bias in there that he does that and he gets away with it, but the reality is, he can't bust this guy for it because the guy's paying people off because he's making so much money. I guess we could, and there was an earlier take where I kind of stumbled on this, and I guess there might be some discussion there, but I think that'd probably be something good for the kids to write about. Is this fair? Also, the casino gets shut down in the end, so there would be an economic impact, though I don't think that would be bad because it would likely be replaced by something else almost immediately. However, the main issue of dumping the waste in there is described very clearly, very well. It's clearly wrong. It's clearly impactful. They make the impact clear. He's going to stop it, and he does. And you go through great personal risk. He does stop it. The kids get into some dangerous situations. There's some situations where they probably should be punished a little more for things, like almost getting themselves killed. But that's just a kid's story, right? I did enjoy it, and in particular in the end when they catch them by getting food dye into their toilets in this sort of escapade experience, which is a little 80s film-esque. They get it done, and they did a good job of putting it in a time period of, I think, the early 90s, which I think was very convincing with the evening news and stuff like that. And, of course, spoke to me being from probably the kid being from my own time period at that age. In the end, they succeed, and the dad is going to stay a boat guy, and they really do give some good advice about the stupid stuff tourists do, which I think is just a really good warning for tourists to listen to the people around you that do it. And, you get pay for the guide, and, we'll support local businesses while I do it. But it was an enjoyable book, and it was very well paced, and it stayed fun and interesting till the end, and I always appreciate that in a book.